It sounds almost too good to be true, but this phone that I have over here packs the same speedy Snapdragon 801 processor, a bright 5.5-inch display, and a supersized battery that competes with the likes of flagship smartphones today. But it does all of that for just $299 unlocked. This is the OnePlus One, and we're taking a closer look at what could be this year's flagship killer. This isn't the kind of build you'd expect for just $299. If you take a look, or a closer look at it, it's got a very sleek 0.35-inch profile that's really up there with the likes of flagship smartphones today. It's got dual bottom speakers made by JBL, and those provide quite solid sound. You have a 13-megapixel camera on this sandpaper-like back, which makes for a kind of a unique grip and feel and sets it apart. And also, you can notice there are very nice little touches in terms of design. In fact, the micro SIM card slot is so discreet, it's almost hidden from sight. So that could be a plus or a minus, as up to you. One problem we had with the design, though, is the soft keys up front below the display are kind of hard to find because they're so dim, even when you set the backlight to be always on. That's just one gripe we have, though, with the overall design of this phone. You'll like the 5.5-inch Gorilla Glass 3 display on the OnePlus One. It's full HD, so that's a comparable resolution to the leading smartphones out there, like the Galaxy S5 and such. And as you can see in a second, the color quality and the sharpness and detail of this screen is also great. And this display is actually the brightest in its class, beating the other flagship Android smartphones out there. So gaming and movies are going to look really great on this display. This phone is also going to last you the entire day. It lasted a whopping 13 hours and 16 minutes on our battery test, and that outclassed the rest of the competition. So this phone's 3100 milliamp hour battery is one of the best in the market right now. Another thing we really liked about the OnePlus One is its nifty lock screen gestures. So what this means is you can basically have it asleep and draw circles or shapes on it, and it'll still do things like, for instance, Circle activates the camera app, so you don't have to kind of unlock your phone or on the screen even to launch the app. Other gestures that work with this are a V to turn on the flashlight at the back so you don't have to fumble around in the dark in your apartment. And also it has some music controls that include drawing an arrow to skip and stuff like that. So that's also something that's a really thoughtful feature that's built into this phone that other phones don't even have. Another standout feature of this phone is that it's one of the first devices, or it is the first device to actually ship with CyanogenMod 11S, which is basically a custom ROM built upon Android 4.4 KitKat. And what that means is that it's slightly different from Android. It offers more personalization options. And you'll first notice this on the lock screen. If you take a look here, it's very different from the the stock Android screen in that you have a card kind of a layout, and you slide that down instead of, swiping to the side to unlock your phone. And that lock screen is actually going to be different depending on the theme you've installed, but we'll get to that later. So once you've unlocked your phone, you look at the home screen. It's very similar to stock Android, except you'll notice some subtle differences in app icons such as camera, messaging, and phone. These are actually CyanogenMod's own versions of the stock Android apps. In terms of the layout of your phone, you get almost full say over what your device does. So this quick settings menu, if you're used to Samsung's TouchWiz interface, it's basically built for you. But you can really define what goes in here by going into the settings and just sorting them the way you want. And you can put almost any setting here. So I just added a go to sleep mode for easier access from the notifications panel. It also has better security settings than regular Android does. And what that means is you actually get more say over what apps get to do what on your phone. So if we go into security, well, first things first, when you text people who also use CyanogenMod, your messages are encrypted by an app called Whisper Push that is built into the system. So even if someone intercepts your messages, they're just going to get gibberish. Now, if we go into this thing called Privacy Guard, which is another CyanogenMod tool, you get to decide what apps have access to your personal information. But if you go into advanced settings over here, you get to see what the apps have done ever since you've installed them. And so if we want to look at a third-party app such as Songza over here, or Nova 3, you can see that it's accessed the media volume 6 times since I've installed it maybe a day ago. And Songza over here has done a lot of stuff. Long pressing or any of these apps lets you really get granular control over what settings or what processes the app gets access to. And this is a feature that you don't get on any Android phone so far. So this is really great for privacy nuts and for anyone that's really looking to get very good control over their phones and see what their apps do. So for $299 unlocked for the 16 gig version, you're really getting what's a superb smartphone. And a lot of those features that I talked about that are related to CyanogenMod really will mean more to power users, but the novice will also appreciate that this phone comes at such a value-friendly price tag. So we really like the OnePlus One. Now the catch is you need an invite to even order one. So fingers crossed that you know someone somewhere that has an invite for you, or you win a contest on the company's social media channels. But if you do, we think this is the no contract phone to get. So for Laptop Mag and Tom's Guide, I'm Sherlyn Lowe.